All right, so today we're working on replacing a fuel pump and a fuel sending unit on an E60X. This happens to be an S85 M6. It's going to be the same set of instructions, whether it's an M6 or an M5. The first thing you're going to want to do is get the seats, probably both seats, as forward as you can, because you don't have a lot of space to work. Also, we've laid down some cardboard just so you get to keep your carpets nice and clean. Okay, so the next step, just for safety reasons, we're going to disconnect the negative lead on the battery. And just set that guy aside. Okay, so the next step is to remove the rear seat. We've kind of got this partially disassembled, or popped out rather, just for purposes of demonstration. But the way you do this, there's two clips down here, just going to pull straight up. If you do happen to have heated seats, you're going to want to watch for the connectors, and you're going to need to disconnect those as the seat comes up. But this guy just pulls straight out. Try not to scratch your rear armrest as it comes out, and just get her on out of the car. On the right hand side, the passenger side, here's your actual fuel pump. Driver's side is your fuel sending unit. To access these, you will need to pull back on this sound deadening, get it out of the way. You do need to be kind of careful because it has a tendency to kind of rip itself apart. So just do it gently, and that will then expose some 10mm nuts that you're going to need to remove to access the fuel pump and the sending unit. Over here at the fuel sending unit side, on the driver's side, and here's our 4 10mm nuts we're gonna remove. Okay, you got those removed. You're just gonna pull up on this plate, and now we actually get to see our fuel sending unit. Got this electrical connector. To disconnect this, you're just gonna slide this little portion to the rear. And as you do that, it's kind of got a cam effect. It will push the connector out, so get that out of the way. And this one can be a little bit tough. You may work at this for a little while, but there's 2 tabs. Just press these hard. Resist the urge to use pliers. You do not want to break this connection. And it just pops straight up. Okay, now we're on the fuel pump side. The passenger side, you're going to do the same thing. You got 4 nuts you're going to do here. Get those out of the way. Lift your plate out, and that gives you access to your electrical connector on your fuel pump. So on the fuel pump, you've got this single electrical connector, just like the one on the sending unit. You're gonna take and run this portion of the electrical connector towards you, forward, and then lift up at the same time, and there she is. So before cracking the fuel pump loose, one thing you're gonna wanna do is remove any debris like we've got here from the fuel pump and the surrounding area. That way you don't end up with debris inside your fuel tank. That's never a good thing. Also, something to note on this particular vehicle, we've got a little sticker right here. This is gonna let us know this is indeed the factory fuel pump we're dealing with here. We got a little engine cleaner. Just get the bulk of it out of there. Okay, here we are at the sending unit. You're gonna wanna get this fuel line out of the way before you start getting the retaining ring out of here. It's going to be the same as the fuel sending unit. You're just going to bang this thing off. There's the sending unit. Okay, so here's the sending unit pulled out. You're kind of gonna have to wrestle with these tubes on the way out. They do kind of get in the way, but just take your time and, you know, don't be rough with them or anything like that. This vehicle only has about a 1/4 tank in it, which is nice because when we released the retaining ring, we did not get any fuel back here, which is always nice. So you probably want to do this on a car with a 1/4 tank or less, or just be prepared for fuel to come out and have a plastic bag or something like that. So you're going to want to undo these 2 connectors right here. These both go over to the fuel pump. And we've kind of already got them a little bit disassembled here, but there's tabs right here. Same on this side. Just depress the tabs and remove that. Remove the other line, and as you can see, we got a little bit of gas coming out, so be prepared for that. Okay, so with the first two connectors removed, there is a third on the side or right here. You are going to have some gas come out like you're seeing right there. And then the last and final connector to the sending unit is this white plastic piece down here. To get this white plastic piece out, you can see ours has already been removed, but you're gonna take a flathead screwdriver and you're just simply gonna press outward away from the sending unit. With all the connections undone, we can now pull the sending unit out. Now, the sending unit itself is going to have some fuel in it, so be prepared for that. You've got a little plastic bag here, and as you can see, you are going to have some fuel coming out. You can see here, these are your lines from the fuel pump. So we've got the fuel pump partially removed, and when you do go to remove the fuel pump, you're gonna have to put a little bit of pressure on this float, top of the float portion here, because when you try to pull it out, this area, this ridge here, is gonna get caught up. So just be careful. Okay, so we got the fuel pump removed and kind of bagged up, and you're gonna have to kind of finagle this tubing. Just pull it out gently. Try not to get gas in your interior. All right, well, to install the new fuel pump, it's gonna be the reverse of disassembly. I'm gonna start fishing these hoses down. You're gonna have to get these hoses over the little hump in the gas tank. That may be a bit of a challenge, but just be patient. Okay, you can see here we fed the fuel pump lines over to this side. And now it's time to seat the fuel pump. Just kind of be careful of the float and just kind of watch what you're doing as you lower it down. Just be careful. Okay, so you're gonna wanna make sure this little tab here indexes in this little slot. Get that seated. Now it's time for the retaining ring. Okay, so we've got our new fuel sending unit here, and we've got our fuel pump lines pulled up a little bit. The first connection we're gonna do is this one here. Kind of hard to see, but gonna get that guy pressed in. Then we've got a couple more connections to make before we can seat the sending unit. Okay, we've got all our lines connected to the sending unit. We've got the float down in there. Just be careful when you're routing that. I'm just gonna put the sending unit down in there. And from here, we're ready to install our retaining ring. So once you got the sending unit fixed with the retaining ring, you got these two connections. You got a fuel line, put that on, and then you got your electrical connector. Put that guy back on. Okay, now it's time to secure these 4 nuts. And now it's time to put this plate on over the fuel pump and connect the electrical part. One tip is there's a little arrow, you can kind of see it here. This is going to point towards the front of the car because you can orient this wrong and you'll just be dealing with it a little bit longer than you need to. So okay, now we're going to put the rear seat back in. Just kind of slide it straight back. Let those buckles kind of be a guide. Final step is reconnect your negative to your battery. If you like this video, smash that like button.